Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I'm actually going to talk about Splinterforge, which I think is a sales pitch that we can access for Splinterlands because there's a game mechanic that's available outside of Splinterlands with the same assets. That's the first piece of the conversation. That's the first 3 minutes. But then I really want to focus in on the survival mode that's coming to Splinterlands. And I think Splinterforge actually shows us an example of what that could be like. And I do think we can glean something and probably draw conclusions about what Splinterlands will bring to the table with respect to survival mode by looking at the Splinterforge survival mode. And so that's what the video is about today, plus a ton of speculation on what, tokens it will pay, what tokens it will burn, how the weary effect or the exhaustion effect will happen on your cards. Total speculation with my members only. If you want to be present with these live conversations, then check out my member page. And thanks guys for hanging out. Have an amazing day. God bless. Then I'm checking on Splinterforge because I'm started playing this again. I still feel this is an easy access point for a lot of people to get a little bit of crypto for very little, for the same effort or for the same financial investment that you're going to make in Splinterlands. Like, to be able to double dip on those assets should matter to a lot of people. I think it doesn't. I don't think this is a heavily played game, but I think there's something being overlooked there. There's communities in North America that wouldn't care, obviously, for the trivial additives that are given. It won't matter to them that they can get a little 4GM. It won't matter to them that can be traded into SPS. For the average North American, it won't matter. But if this shouldn't be overlooked because it's a piece of the utility within Splinterlands assets. And as we hope to broaden the play and access to Splinterlands from not just North America, but, the world, it will matter. It does matter if you can get, 50 cents, 25 cents extra a day from the same cards, by the way, from the same initial investment. I mean, if you had access, for instance, as a scholar, to a given account, think about it this way. You're like a third world Splinterlands player, and you had access to, as a scholar, to someone's main account. And you've got these crazy cards and you're fighting at the top tier, you're fighting for Vugdus or you're fighting for Vet V or any, housewife or whomever else. And you're happy, you're amazed at the opportunity. I don't know if they're scholars or from a different part of the world, but I have to imagine that there is a community of people that would be amazing at Splinterlands, that would love the rewards that are accessible through scholaring, and who would have the opportunity to incidentally benefit in a game like Splinterforge, literally with the same assets. And assuming it didn't impede or damage their ability to earn for the main account within Splinterlands, I would see, the lender or the account holder should be happy for them to benefit in those ways, right? And maybe there's some sort of similar reward share. I don't know. I'm just saying this is a piece of a sales pitch that applies to Splinterlands assets. Maybe not for the average North American who doesn't maybe care about a little bit of 4GM. Maybe for, it also, like I've said before, this isn't the most fun game. I'm clicking on the same recipe over and over again, and I'm just seeing what rewards I get. In my opinion, I consider this, at least the battle mechanic of this game, essentially it's a farm. I'm just going in and clicking things for 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day, and I'm farming. That's not fun. Splinterlands is fun, but I'm saying if the trivial financial rewards available in these blockchain games matter to somebody, then this is another piece of that pie, and it should be a part of the marketing in a sense for Splinterlands, even though it's a totally different game. And I think that will grab certain audiences. Maybe that's more of an international approach because, again, wealthier nations are not going to care so much, but people who are struggling would presumably care. So regardless, though, even though it doesn't move the needle financially for me, I'm enjoying Splinterlands right now. I'm enjoying these assets. I'm enjoying this game, Splinterlands, I mean. And so I'm attending to this in a way that I haven't in recent months or years. Like, I'm playing a lot. Splinterlands also. And yeah, Splinterforge now too. And this is only a piece to the survival within Splinterforge, which we should talk about too, because it's quite likely that that's actually what is going to be the basis for the survival within Splinterlands. Hey, let's actually look at that. I've played it a little bit. I haven't played it a lot, but we know from the recent conversation with People's Guild and Blaze, shout out to Blaze, that the new hardcore mode within Splinterlands will be a survival mode. And so somehow, some way, your cards will essentially be worn down through attrition. There'll be a battle mechanic that you cannot, I'm assuming you cannot win, you cannot end, you cannot outdo. You eventually die. I don't know that for sure, but that would be my presumption around what that would mean, around what survival would mean. And we know already that Splinterforge has that, and I've played it before. I haven't played it recently, but let's click on it right now. I'm not going to read the rules or leaderboard. I know enough about it, I think. Let's just go Earth. Let's go Diamond. We'll go boom. You have to bring more than one hero? Okay. You have to bring 2 heroes. Okay. So you can choose, you have chosen Diamond Mine Run. You can select up to 30 Splinterlands monsters to take with you on your Diamond Mine Run. And then they slowly get worn out. And I think you're allowed to like use potions and stuff to heal people, but frankly, people do die. Boom. And you only, okay, mana doesn't matter. Boom. Boom, boom. I must be getting close here. I'm assuming it's going to tell me when I hit my totals. I guess it's going to press play for me once it goes, but I'm starting to feel like I picked, okay, there we go, I picked 30. Felt like I picked way more than 30. Okay, start Diamond Run. There we go. So if this is the gameplay that we can expect, or something like this for Splinterlands Survival, you see several advantages. One, card collection depth matters. Also, you can imagine that the monsters will get tired and they can't be probably reused over and over again, because that's what happens in this survival mode. Like, as we fight this monster, if we beat this monster, 125 hit points, 10 speed, we will move on to the next round. This is boss 1 of 12, and in my experience, my limited experience playing this mode before within Splinterforge, it's not beatable. Like, at least not for me. You know, I have one hero who is high caliber and one that is just basic, and that's unacceptable. You need to spend, and I think I spent a couple $100 making this guy this way. So, you probably need, $200 to get your hero pretty strong. He's not even exceptionally strong. He's pretty strong. And then again with him or your melee, looks like all 3 of them are there, by the way. And then all my guys here, and look, you get 2 resurrect credits. So as my monsters die, dead monsters, you can resurrect somebody if they're crucial to your thing. I can also re-roll abilities on my opponent, but magic reflect, archery reflect, dispel is pretty nasty with the 10 speed, but free reset in, okay. Burn 755 forge to reset. That's pretty cool. So, there's a burn mechanic within the tokens of the game. You earn forge by playing the game. So it's like the equivalent of, burn SPS for resetting. And you get 1 free every however many days or how many hours that is. 1400 minutes. 600 minutes is 10 hours. 20 hours, 24 hours or something. But anyways, let's go ahead and deploy. I won't re-roll, just deploy. What's going on here? Oh, I see. What? Okay. So I get to pick 1 hero, and then I get to pick 36 mana from this army. And I can only pick 5 monsters. 36 mana, 5 monsters. Well, this is nasty. Like, I mean, I gotta be worried about killing myself against him, which I'm gonna with my 12 bombs. But I also need to be worried about him nuking me. I don't even think I'm gonna survive round 1. Forget about I mean, what I would do, like I almost need a force field to be my main. I don't know if it's gonna suffice, but we got to try for force field to essentially nerf that impact, and then, you know, maybe it makes sense to. I'll bring out my hit points. I'm focusing on melee. Oh, I'm way over mana. I'm gonna be anyways. I have one more monster. Do I have anybody? You know, I think we got to pull back on. Let's go pull back on the Pelacor Mercenary. We'll bring out a little buddy with the heal triage, which can be really crucial actually. And another heal would be amazing. But I am nervous about these big hit points. I'm also nervous about my magic killing myself. Let's bring out arm. That's probably good with the armor and the triage. So I got double triage and tank heal. I got tank heal over here on himself. Maybe that's enough. Let's find out. Burn 9.7 forge to fight. Let's see what happens. There is no current active mine run leaderboard for this tier. You may still fight this mini boss, but no points will count on the leaderboard. Yeah, that's good to know, but let's just see what happens. You did 47 damage. Drakthorn has defeated you. So all my monsters died and we were able to do 47 damage. This, and I can, it gives a battle log, but I'm not going to read that. Grun died, Bear died. Bear was one of the last ones to die. Archimus. Makes sense with the force field. Look at Archimus had, what? 24.5 speed. What is it? What's up with that? I'm really confused by that. But regardless, the point here is this is like probably an example and in a place that points to what Splinterlands already was thinking, right? When they talk about a survival mode, this is probably something like it. And then let's go back. Now, is that... I think you can only use your heroes this many times too. Like, look, I have 8 over here. I think I can only use Buddy 7 more times, and we have 12 rounds to get through. Did I lose anybody? Yeah, look, so these are all dead, and he's wounded. Let's try and go again and see what happens. Boom, boom. Oh yeah, I gotta pick I gotta pick you. There's no way I survive if I don't. Deploy, was that the thing? Yeah. Deploy. Okay, and then we're going boom, 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 boom. And we've burnt through a bunch of our mana already. So I gotta pull back on something. I got 4 more. Well, I see. So I got 4 more and I could change something if I want. I don't think this is going to work at all. I think this might be worse than the first round, but let's give it a shot. So I did less damage that time. And he defeated all my heroes. Back. I mean, this is a round 1. Clearly I am lacking a comprehension on what would be optimal. You know what I mean? Like there's a pathway to understanding this in a new way, in a better way, where I would, clearly I could be better at this than I am. That goes without say, but it also goes without say that this is tough. Even though I'm not an expert at this is clearly tough. So I did 40 damage. You're in 160 Electrum. You're in 160 XP. You also receive 1 boss ability reroll credit and 1 monster res credit. Okay, so you can see you get these like little loot drops as you defeat a monster, and you go into round 2. And then there's a new monster with even crazier abilities, 250 hit points now, 10 speed, relatively same damage output, but that hit point is the nuts thing. and I've only got, I could reroll his abilities 3 times now, but I think my rerolls are also equivalent to my resurrection credits. I think it's like 1 credit for 1 res or 1 credit for 1 reroll. Let's find that out together. Because I do, again, this is not just about Splinterforge and how this survival mode works. Here, I'm trying to use this to draw conclusions about what Splinterlands is going to be releasing. I think we will see something similar. Yeah, I don't know if that was... Okay, no, the rerolls were distinct from the resurrections. And so, but if I'm only getting 1 new res credit after killing him, and it took 15 monsters to kill him, and it took 3 of my lives with my main archer, like this is crazy hard. Let's bring back the bear. Bring back the bear. Close. Oh, that took 2 credits. See, res specific monsters, for 2 credits, or click on a desired monster to select for 1 random res. Nice. Cool. Yeah, I mean, like, this is entertaining. This is far more entertaining than the battle mechanic of Splinterforge. There's a lot of thought here and planning, and yeah, that's cool. Regardless of how the tokenomics of Splinterforge's survival mode work, you can imagine with that basic analysis that Splinterlands could do something very similar with Splinterlands assets, making the UI look attractive and far improved, as we've seen already within Splinterlands the game. And then there would be Splinterlands tokenomics, so you would spend SPS to wage war, and you would earn. I don't think they would pay you SPS. Or would they? I don't know if we have other SPS set aside for other battle mechanics. I don't think we do. I think the SPS white paper spoke to the rewards that we're currently paying out. I don't think there's extra lying around somewhere waiting to be added to new game mechanics. And if I'm wrong about that, maybe I am. But regardless, that points me in a direction of I think I'm excited for that survival mode. That's a big deal. What do you guys think if this was the survival mechanic of Splinterlands? What would you think of that? If you could earn, for instance, SPS, and I don't know that they will, if you could earn rebellion packs from the DAO, or if you could earn, some sort of meaningful, maybe you could earn energy, in-game energy, by playing and winning this. And in order to do that, you're burning vouchers or SPS or something. I don't know. I don't know what the tokenomics of it will be. But something like this would be relatively easy to do, and the assets are already in existence, and the mechanisms and methods are already created, not by Splinterlands, but by Splinterforge. This would be doable. Would this be fun? Would you want to play this? What would you... I think it's like this, something like this is coming. If they incorporate burning SPS to play hardcore mode, I'm all in. Absolutely, bro. I would think that would make a lot of logical sense. I think you're going to have to burn something. I think burning SPS would make a lot of sense, and I think you got to burn something. There has to be some sort of real cost to entering into it, and that cost could be twofold. Like I'll say that cost could go 2 directions. I would expect you either to have to burn SPS. You could say maybe burn vouchers. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. I really think, our concern, the primary concern within Splinterlands is SPS. Oh man, I'm having so many thoughts running around, because you could burn vouchers, you could burn DEC, you could burn SPS. And I would think one of those tokens needs to get burned within the game mechanic of it. That would essentially, in my mind, establish that this is hardcore. This is serious. It's not for everybody. It's not even available to everybody, and it's not free, and it's going to have some kind of reward. Well, those rewards are meaningful. Maybe it's like tournament money. Tournaments haven't been significant the way that we thought. What if they reallocated tournament valuation, because there's a certain amount of tournament valuation that the team has access to through the white paper that could be redirected, and you can imagine SPS is available through hardcore. But you have to pay money to make money. You have to burn some to get some. You have to burn some trivial amount, like we saw with the forge being burned. I had to burn maybe a couple hundred forge, but I earn that really quickly playing the regular game. And so you earn the SPS by playing the regular ranked game in Splinterlands, then you burn a little bit of it to play the hardcore mode. That's piece number one of what hardcore mode would probably require and would make it hard or hardcore. But then the second piece I would expect, the second cost I would expect it to have on you would be that those cards would be sleepy or whatever. They'd be exhausted, they'd be weary. And so, you'd come into your collection and you maybe you would see cards like this just grayed out, like it's not eligible for play for 24 hours. And that would be another cost and another element of sort of how the game is serious. It's not for everybody. And so both of those probably could and should be incorporated, I would think. I could see a lot of nuance in those approaches though. You could argue burning SPS to play makes sense. You could also argue burning DEC to play hardcore mode makes sense. And maybe vouchers, maybe all three. I think I personally would argue it should either be DEC or SPS. And maybe DEC makes the most sense because it's quote unquote stable and we desire it to be stable. And we are going to create new DEC as SPS grows in value. And so we should have a greater burn mechanism around DEC. That's a separate video maybe because I have talked about that in the past. I'm convinced there will be massive DEC creation when SPS price spikes. If SPS goes to 10 cents, you will see huge DEC creation because people will have an inflated US dollar value for their SPS bag. They will burn some to make DEC to buy cards because that's what people do. When their account goes up in value, they reallocate because they just want to. They feel rich and they want to have some fun. And a lot of people will burn into DEC also because they want relative stability. And they think, well, if SPS has gone up 10x, I could see it falling back down. So I want to move into a more stable coin. Mind you, DEC will fluctuate between probably half a 500 Splintoshis and 1,000 Splintoshis for the rest of the time. So I don't consider that very stable. But you see my point. If we create if we undergird the stability of DEC by letting that be the burn token within a new game mechanic, I think that probably makes a lot of sense. I could see an argument for saying, no, burn the SPS directly. But I think I probably lean towards stable DEC is better for Splinterlands game income because they're often paid in DEC. It's also good for essentially it helps the flywheel exist because if DEC is at peg, then it's conceivable for people to burn SPS into DEC without penalty. The flywheel doesn't exist if DEC isn't there. And also, I guess if SPS, for instance, if SPS was like $1 and you had to burn 5 SPS to play one hardcore mode, that's a very differing price point, right? 5 SPS at a penny is 5 cents, but 5 SPS at $1 is $5. I think the game mechanic would have to think through that in one of a few ways. And DEC just avoids that conversation. So I guess what I'm saying is the costs around what I would expect survival to be would be some DEC burn commitment, and the rewards would probably be some SPS payout. Maybe that's SPS that's coming from tournaments that have not really been attractive, exciting, or approached in a meaningful, substantial way. Hundreds of people play tournaments. What if we want to reallocate those funds to a place where maybe thousands might play, hardcore mode might make sense. And then finally, card exhaustion should be another cost essentially. And what would that look like? I don't know. In the same way you could make an argument for different tokens being the burn mechanic, I think you could make different arguments for how the wearying process of exhaustion would work. Is it a 24-hour wearying? Is it a week? Is it, 48 hours? What's the logical amount of exhaustion that follows from going into the hardcore mode and then using those cards? Are they exhausted if they survive, if they win the hardcore mode, or are they exhausted only if they die, like we saw in Splinterforge? Like in some sense, my monsters died and then they can't be used again unless I have a resurrect. And maybe that's the thing. Like, it's exhausted within that one dungeon crawl, but maybe I can go get it again and use it in another dungeon crawl. There's different ways to approach how that exhaustion would work, and I'm sure that our team will think that through in a really, really good way. It stands to be an exciting next phase for Splinterlands. Like, it's a huge new game, and it sounds like it's close. Survival mode takes a lot of strategy, never gotten past the last boss yet.